You can do 122 podcasts and still forget to unmute your mic. I'm so glad you guys are here. We are in for such a treat. And for those who may not know me, my name is Bren Harris, the Warrior Mom. And I founded Warrior Moms by Bren in the Warrior Nation when my son was medically injured at 22 months of age. He was just a baby. And we have walked through hell. Now we walk through it like we own the place and take water back to those still in the fire. And we are here to say you have a story and your story needs to be heard. I see you, I hear you, and you belong right here, right now. And we have an amazing guest. Before we bring her on, I want to talk to you about how everything started. And just real quick, this is my giant teenager as a baby. And this is how Warrior Mom started at the kitchen table. We moved back from Japan, where my son was born, and stayed with relatives while we were waiting on our house to be ready. And I remember sitting at that table and holding my tiny little baby, and he was about 10 or 11 months old, and working on the computer, drinking my coffee, and thinking, wow, I guess this is what they call mobilepreneurs. And fast forward almost 17 years later, this is my son now. He is ginormous. He is about 6'1" with a really low voice and a beard. So everybody changes. There's a season and a time for everything. Now, if you're just joining us, please let us know in the comments where you're chiming in from. And we've got Oklahoma in the house, Georgia in the house, and Florida in the house. And our guest tonight is a remarkable human being. I would not be where I am without her. And I am so glad she chose to be a woman of courage. Stand by. We're going to see if Janelle's with us. Hey, Janelle, did you make the live?
I am here. I'm here. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bren, for having me on your show. It's truly an honor. I was on before, but like to have me come back, it's a really big deal. So thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for being willing to take time out of your incredibly busy schedule to share your story and your experience, strength, and hope. Can you, for our audience who may not know you, can you tell us who is Janelle Villiers?
Sure. So I always like to say and start off by saying, hi, my name is Janelle Villiers. I truly believe that a book can change a person's life. And what I do is I help life-changing, aspiring authors get that scrambled book idea out of their head and clearly onto paper so that way they can publish their book and impact the people that they've been called to impact.
Oh, mic drop. I love it. And that is exactly what Janelle has done in my own life. So if I had pom-poms, I'd be cheering you on. We are so thankful that you are here tonight. And I know you didn't just wake up and be a successful best-selling author and coach. Can you rewind a little bit and tell us where this idea started and how that journey transformed and unfolded?
Absolutely. So my background is in science. I am the science geek. I got my undergraduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania. Go UPenn. If there's anybody out there who's also a UPenn grad. And majored in bioengineering with a concentration in molecular biology. It's a really long mouthful just to say that I love genes and DNA and all that stuff. And so then I went on to get my master's degree in human genetics. From Sarah Lawrence College. That way I could practice being a genetic counselor. Through that life, I ended up, during that time, I should say, I ended up being introduced to entrepreneurship and people who were really into personal development. And the business that we were in had to do with travel, and COVID happened. And so people weren't traveling anymore. We're all just sitting and thinking. And a lot of the people who were around me were talking about personal development and things that we could do during this time. And one of them was saying affirmations. And I was like, yeah, I can totally get on that bandwagon. I can do affirmations, So I'm in the mirror, and I don't know if anyone can relate to this. Go ahead and put an R in the comments for relate. But I'm in the mirror, like, I am good enough. I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am more than enough. Saying all these things. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, you're not. Like, this is all lies, lies, lies. Like, and, and so I was like, this is not working. This is not working. It seems to be working for everyone, but it's not working for me. And for some people, they just may have ended it there and moved on with their lives. But God and YouTube University brought a man to me through YouTube. His name is Tim Fletcher. He's a pastor out in Canada. And Tim Fletcher has this whole series on shame-based thinking. And I really like to make sure that people understand the difference between guilt and shame. So guilt is, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Shame is, I'm sorry, I am a mistake. And so when you believe that I am a mistake, I am unlovable, I am unworthy, I am a failure, that is the reason why the affirmations don't work, because you believe that you are these other things. And so I realized that that was what was going on for me. And he helps you recognize like where those messages come from. I recognize that I was in a shame spiral. And if you have those beliefs about yourself, it's going to mess up all sorts of relationships you have. Personal relationships, romantic relationships, family, business, all sorts of things. And I was definitely involving myself in a lot of self-sabotaging behavior, which led me to this place where I'm now thinking and sitting and thinking about it. And I was like, man, more people are probably like me and they're thinking or believing these same things. And he has a whole way for how to get out of that. And so I felt called to write a book about my experience. And so I felt called, but did not want to, just to be clear. I had a lot of doubts. I had a lot of like, who's going to want to read this book? People are going to think really poorly of me. They're not going to want to be around me. I had a lot of doubts. But I had friends and family telling me not to write it too, to be clear, like this wasn't like just me. But I did have a true belief, like I heard God's calling for my life. He was like, it's not up to you who reads it. Leave that to me. All I'm asking for you to do is to write it. Wow. That's your job. I didn't give them this calling. This calling is for you. Right? So, through my relationship with God, through mentorship, we have a shared mentor, Darren. Shout out to Darren if you're on. And a community of people who did believe in me. I finally did write the book. I slept with a married man. Am I still a good person? And it took me 2 years to do this, a year to write it, a year to publish, so 2 years in total. But I ended up being interviewed on several different podcasts. Thank you, Bren, again for interviewing me. I was I interviewed on 2 different TV shows, a radio show. I did 3 different book tour stops in New York, Fort Lauderdale, Chicago. And I had some of the most courageous conversations with people. I mean, really fulfilling, like you did the right thing. You were on the right track. And what I didn't expect were how many people were going to pull me aside and be like, hey, Janelle, but how did you write the book? And hey, Janelle, how did you self-publish? And I was like, oh, I can teach you that. Like I can share with you how to do that. So here I was teaching at a graduate school level, right? So I'm teaching adults about human genetics and all those things. And I was like, I could just change out the subject matter and, change out the genetics and essentially put in, how do you write a book? How do you publish a book? How to do all of that? And so here I was having my exit strategy from this job where I was working, and people say all the time, oh, like what you're doing is so fascinating, or it's so interesting, all these things. And I like to tell people it's interesting, but it was no longer fascinating for me. Definitely dying inside, just feeling like this isn't my calling. This isn't my purpose. I'm here doing this, but it's so narrow how I can help people. I feel like I can help people in a much more impactful way. And suffice it to say, there were some circumstances that pushed me forward towards realizing I need to essentially exit earlier than I anticipated. My mental health was definitely taking a toll. And I recognized that no one's going to put my mental health first. I'm the only one who's going to make me a priority, to be honest. Nobody else is doing that except for me. And being here at this job is going to put me on the backside. It's going to put me last. I'm putting everyone else first. Oh, but what about your colleagues? What about the students? You're leaving all these people behind. And it was just like, yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine because I won't. They'll be fine and I won't. And then what? What did we solve?
Right.
And I know that there's a lot of people who suffer in that silence. And I just reached a point where I just couldn't anymore. And I'm grateful because I did have a mentor. I did have an exit strategy I was already playing out. But please hear me when I tell you, it was not, it's like a road, one of those highways that's under construction, but it's not finished.
Right.
So it was an exit ramp, but it wasn't a completed, fully constructed thing. So I just want that to be clear. And I took a leap and I left. I left without having another job lined up. I left having a faith and a belief that it's time to really stand 10 toes deep in
Right.
what I was called to do. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's so easy. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of praying.
Right.
But I think that one thing that kept ringing true for me is just that it was time to put myself first. And yeah, it's risky. But it was more risky to stay. I think that was just the thing that I just kept hearing. It was more risky to stay.
Right.
And I knew I needed to leave. So here I am doing all the cliches you've heard, right? You jump off the cliff and then the wings will show all the things. Yeah. And like, okay, I jumped. Where the wings are supposed to grow. We're out here now. We're out here. We're just right. And there have been many occasions where it really is like faith. It's faith. I know our not to put my necessary beliefs on anyone else or anyone in your audience, but my mentor Darren, he's very faith-based, and so we did this. It's basically like a challenge. I would say it started off as this 90-day challenge where we look at Proverbs 3, 5, 6, and it's trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, acknowledge him in all things, and he will lead your path. And reading that every day and like letting it sink in. So sometimes you have to read it multiple times.
Right.
And then journaling out anything that you need to say, including your worries, including the things that you're excited about. And so it was really a journey in that, believing in the calling, even when it makes no sense. I mean, that's literally what faith is, right? Believing in the things that are yet to be seen. And not to say that I didn't do the work. I mean, I was out there doing things that I had never done before. I know Darren was like, get your own podcast. I mean, I have a podcast with my partner. We focus on entrepreneurship, but he really forced me to be like, oh, well, you should do one, about yourself and the things that like you're passionate about and get people to know you. And yeah, I mean, I've done podcasts before, but then to like take the helm and do it yourself, like that part was the new part. Really being intentional with social media and putting out things that are very intentional instead of just kind of like, oh, here's me having fun.
Right.
Right. Like that takes effort. And for all the cool videos that you've ever seen of me do recently, believe me when I tell you, it took me like at least 20 takes to get the final one. Right. So, you're just spending a lot of time and energy in new things. And we say all the time, we get to choose to love to learn. We get to grow. We get to fail at things. Something else too. I don't know. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, she's a professor. She went to an Ivy League school. She studied the science thing, all the hard things. And so like, it must just come easy for me to do certain things. Is it easy for me to talk in front of people? Yes, I'll admit that. But because I've been doing that for a long time. Right. So fair. Okay, that's fair. But apart from that, there are lots of things that I had to learn on my own. How do you get a system to send automatic messages to people to remind them to attend, certain things that you're doing, whether it's just a one-on-one meeting, even that, so that way you don't get someone who no-shows or ghosts you, or to a whole-on masterclass. How do you make sure that they come to your masterclass? And so many of you know that a CRM is really helpful for doing that. So having to learn that, and YouTube University was my friend for a while. I was just kind of like, how does this work? Doing things and that didn't work. Okay, they're not getting that message. Okay, let's try again. And
I want to make sure you guys are hearing this. Janelle, this is so rich. In the comments, they'll be fine. I won't. We're putting ourselves first. I mean, such nuggets. I don't know if you guys are getting this. And it says, incredible. You're a superwoman. You're such an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Because people are suffering in silence. People are at a job that's killing their mental health because of a paycheck.
Mm.
And I don't know if you guys caught that. She didn't have a full plan, but she had a mentor walk her through that plan to make that exit from a high power job that was robbing her of her mental health. And realizing this is my crossroad. I am not going to be okay if I don't take this leap of faith. And we are called to help people. And if we do not take that leap of faith, those people we're called to help will not get the help they need. We have got Texas in the house. We've got Washington State in the house, Washington, D.C. in the house. And we have one person from Jamaica. And we are so glad you guys are here, because the rich nuggets that are being dropped here, I need you to get that pen and get a piece of paper and pay close attention. Success doesn't happen in a vacuum. And one thing I learned, and this inspires me watching you, Janelle, is learning things that are hard and new, like the CRM, a customer relation management software. I mean, these are things that we are stepping into and doing things afraid, doing things unsure because we've never done them before. And failing forward, we learn, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. But we never know unless we try. What's one word that really, or phrase or quote that got you through those situations? Because courage is defined as doing things afraid. And you are such a great inspiration and example of that. But did you have one thing that really propelled you forward as you tackled these hard things?
I love this question. I think that verse that I shared was a huge part of my journey. It was right on time for us to take place, and just lean on not on my own understanding, and trust. Trust and have faith was the thing that just kept having me like chug along. I'm kind of like Dory from Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, like we're just gonna keep going, figure it out. I mean, that's
in our house.
Right, exactly. So I think that really was like the anchor.
Okay.
And then what you have in addition to that is community, people who are supporting you. Bren, you are a huge part of that community. And so I thank you again for being a part of that community, wanting to share with me your platform, your places and spaces. The mentorship has been invaluable. I think those would be the three cornerstones. Like, it's like a tripod, like you need the three legs of a tripod. If any one of those was missing, the whole thing would collapse. I needed all three.
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. What's one thing that's different? I know you've been at this full time for over a year, just over a year. What's one thing that's different in a good way from, let's say 13 months ago, when you felt like your mental health was suffering and you had to do something differently, to fast forward now, you have dozens of masterclasses, dozens of clients, dozens of students that are learning and growing. And just like myself, I've always wanted to write a book, but because of you and your team, I'm able to do that. What's one positive thing, or maybe two, that your life is so different than it was before you took this leap of faith?
It goes back to the mental health journey. I'm a couple of months ago, so I would say, let's just call it from January to May, that whole period. That season in my job was extremely stressful. And even though I'm doing something for the first time, even though I've never done this before, even though there's no like safety net per se, and it gets stressful, like, what's happening here? Whoop, I'm not getting paid. Like, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to, like, get the food on the table? Even with that stress, that kind of like, what's going to happen next? It is 10 times less than the amount of stress that I had with the job. I mean, could barely sleep. Now I sleep, but I wake up and it's like an excitement. I can tell you a difference between when I just started to now as well. And this is how I know the wings are starting to grow. I would wake up and do the trust, have gratitude. And now I've added, Lord, please make me a vessel. And I
Oh,
think before I believed that, like, kind of like I was a vessel that was empty, like I didn't have anyone to vessel. And now, like, I know it, even if they're not physically in front of me. And I started saying this before. There's been like an influx in clients and things like that. And I started to say it before then. It's just this, something clicked in terms of my belief, and it took a while, but it's this like, I am the vessel, and just please make me the best vessel I possibly can for the people I'm about to help and share. And because I know it's beyond the person I'm helping, I know how many people they're about to help, and that is so inspiring. To know that I'm just a catalyst along their journey to help them get that done. It truly is something that wakes me up in the morning. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of that.
oh, that's brilliant. Did you guys catch that? She's a vessel to help people on her front line, her inner circle, her clients, knowing that they will go out and help others. And to me, that's the paying it forward and the making a difference and building that legacy. Brilliant. Oh my gosh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Really good perspective. Now, I know you have a lot of things in the works.
A couple things.
Please share with us, first of all, where we can find you, where our tribe can find you online.
Absolutely. So Janelle Villiers, that's my Instagram. TikTok is Janelle Villiers without the E at the end. Janelle Villiers on Facebook. Some of you might already be friends with me there. On YouTube, it's Janelle Villiers podcast. You can find me there with that name. If you just look up Janelle Villiers, there's not that many of us.
Okay.
Typically how you get there. But I will put that information in the chat. That's where you can find me. I'm on like all the things you can find me. LinkedIn, same thing. I am really excited though, because what I just shared with you guys, right? It took me 2 years to write my book. I am sharing with people in 2 days how to get it done. So yes, balloons. So my next free 2-day masterclass is coming up Monday and Tuesday. That's June 16th and 17th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're in Central Time, that's 6 to 7:30 both nights. I will be laying out a step-by-step strategy for how you can make money from your book. And if you haven't written the book yet, how to start writing the book. And for the first 10 people who register, I'm really excited. We're doing a VIP special. So the first 10 people who register, you will become a VIP. VIPs, I'm going to send you a signed copy of my best-selling new book. Write it, publish it, sell it.
Oh,
The complete guide to aspiring authors. So I'll send you that. You're going to get invited to a private Telegram group where I'm going to be giving some tidbits that you won't be getting on the masterclass. Also, on day 2 of the masterclass, we are having book marketing expert, CEO of Missing Piece Solutions, Melissa Dias is coming on. She's going to be sharing some major nuggets. You guys probably saw her on Bren's podcast. What was that, 2-3 weeks ago? She is amazing at what she does. So she's going to be sharing, but then the VIPs, you guys are going to get a special breakout session with her where she's going to be doing a Q&A with all of the VIP members. And then we're doing a bonus session the day after on Wednesday, where I will be going over the step-by-step strategy I use to become a best-selling author. So that way you can do it. So VIPers, guess what? There's only 5 spots left. So get on that. I'll go ahead and put the information in the chat. But I'm really excited to be able to share this information with the world and help people get their stories out there. You say it all the time, your story matters. And so I want to help people make that a reality.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And thank you for sharing your story and inspiring so many others. You guys, you don't want to miss this event. There are so many nuggets in every class that Janelle does, and it's life-changing. So we'll look for that in the chat when we post the reel, and make sure that you go ahead and register. It's free, and that's June 16 and 17. That's just around the corner. Any last parting words to the inspiring authors in our crowd?
If you have even the smallest of seeds in your brain that like, I have the story and I really want to share it with people, I just want you to know that that seed is there on purpose. There's a reason. If you're doubting who's going to want to read it, I promise you there's someone who wants to and needs to read your story because it's going to help them. So for some people, it's going to take them longer. I don't care how long it takes. Just please get it out there. But I will say this: set a date, set a date, set a date, set a date. Because an arrow with no target misses every single time. So it's real. That seed in your mind that says, I need to write a book. It's real. Let's follow it and let's set a date. Let's get it done.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Janelle. Be blessed. And we look forward to your class. I'll be there. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Guys, I am so glad you're here. Register for this masterclass. It's free, and you will get an entire 4-year degree out of this masterclass. And it is so inspiring. And there's breakout rooms where you practice what she teaches right there on the spot. Now, for those of you just joining us, please let us know if you're on the live. Put an L. If you're on the replay, put an R. And I'm Bren Harris. I founded Warrior Moms by Bren when my son was medically injured at 22 months of age. And for the last 12 plus years, we have walked through hell. Now we walk through it like we own the place and take water back to those in the fire. And I do have a book because of Janelle and her team coming out in August. And I want to make sure that you're staying plugged in. Socials on the screen, at One with Bren on IG. Bren Harris, the Warrior Mom on Facebook. You can find me on all platforms. And if you got value, put value in the chat. I just love that people who are, at the top of their game take time to share what they have learned along the journey and the habit stacking and how we peel back the thin layers of the onion and get to the heart of who we're called to be so that we together can lock arms and walk in purpose and champion our calling. Remember, Bren Harris, the Warrior Mom, at The Warrior Nation, your source for truth, transparency, and trust. Warriors unite.